Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the council. It's your girl, Cosette,
Lexi.
And Rachel.
and I love myself. Do you guys love yourselves?
I love myself.
We love ourselves.
Today, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about how to be a best friend to yourself and some tips and tricks to practice self love and how to just keep exercising that in your life because we all know that what we feed into ourselves feeds outwards, and by nurturing ourselves, we are also nurturing the people in our lives.
Okay, I have to say also, Cosette just led us through some meditation and a
Little-
breathing exercise. And I think it just helped us reaffirm the love that we have. And we should remember to hug ourselves. And
Yep.
it was very soothing. She did, I don't know.
Reflected on the gratefulness of being here.
Yes.
Thank you. Shout out to Spotify.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah, Spotify has been a great partner to us, and I think it's just really important to look back at hard work that you've put into certain projects in your life and express gratitude for yourself and just be like, wow, you're doing a great job because we can be so
Yeah.
hard on ourselves.
We
So-
really can. We really
Right.
can. Sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit.
Yeah, exactly. I think that like we all have to remind ourselves to give ourselves a little bit credit where credit is due. And I like to think of the self-talk with myself as, would I speak to my best friend like this, or would I speak to like a small baby like this? Like would I look at my best friend and be like, "Oh my god, your hair looks bad and your skin looks really bad and like that outfit does not look good and you need to work out, you need to like lose some weight." No. So why would I ever talk to myself that way? Would I like look at a baby and be like, "You're doing everything wrong." Let's say like a toddler, like, "You're doing everything wrong. Like, you need to be working harder. You need to be doing this." No, I would be nurturing them. I would be supporting them. And if I would be treating everyone else in my life like that, why would I not be treating myself like that?
Exactly. Or even just reflecting and being like, whatever you're saying to yourself, imagine you're saying it to your 10-year-old self. It's
Yeah.
like,
Mm.
absolutely not. Like, she's a precious, innocent little girl.
Oh my gosh, speaking of, I don't know if the camera will be able to see this, but my phone background is actually a photo of young baby Cosette.
Oh my god.
I have a privacy screen, so wide shot, small shot. But this is something that my therapist encouraged me to do when I was having really bad self-talk to myself. And at first I had a childhood photo on my refrigerator, and just every morning I would look at it, or on my bathroom mirror. Like I put a ton of baby photos on my fridge, you guys know. But that started out this exercise where she was like, you should be looking at photos of young you and think how proud that young you would be of where you are today. And would you ever speak to young you that way? And so I set it as my phone background as well, as just a reminder. And some people are like, "Oh, your phone background is a like young picture of you." Like Talia was like, "Oh, that's so like, why is your phone background yourself?" But it's just a daily reminder to me of
Yeah.
like this young. I was probably like 4 years old in that photo. Like this young 4-year-old would meet me if young 4-year-old Cosette met me today, 25-year-old Cosette, I would think I was so cool. Like I would look up to that girl and be like, "Oh my god, I want to be like that one day." And so I think that that's
Aw.
just something really important
That's
to
a great reminder.
yeah, to
That's
like
a-
imagine how your young self would act if she met you currently. And I can tell you both that your young self would be stoked to meet
Like-
your current self.
Oh,
stop.
stop. That's way
That-
too nice.
But you know, like
True.
just thinking about that, it's when we're constantly comparing ourselves and our success and what we're doing and our looks and everything is always a competition, and we're like we value ourselves based on how we're doing against other people. And you just remind like your younger self, would they be proud to just meet who you are as a person? Like, are you kind? Are you giving? Are you nurturing? Are you respectful? Like all the things that you value in a person.
Yeah,
Are you that person?
that's how you
And
measure success.
that's actually such a great reminder because, like, thinking about younger self, and you're like, wow, you know, meeting that, you would be kind to your younger self. You wouldn't be like, wow, that's like, you're so uncool. You're so and people speak to a lot of people that way. It's amazing how many people speak unkindly to people they know, speak unkindly to people they don't know, to themselves and
Yeah.
everyone. And I'm like, wow, you don't just feed it into yourselves, you feed it to everyone, and that negative energy hurts people.
Yeah.
And like I just think my younger self would be happy to know like you're a kind person. You're no matter where you are in life, you treat people in your life with respect and kindness. And I'm like, that's always a success. That's
Mhm.
always
That's a
and it
win,
shouldn't be taken
baby.
for granted because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that don't. it's not always easy to be nice. It's not always easy to be the better person or take the high road. Like,
Times are
that's
difficult.
a choice. And I think all three of us, again, it's a great reminder. Our younger self would be like, you girls are amazing.
Yeah.
We're
You're
amazing.
cool. Like,
I like
We're
that. Like,
cool.
that's a really good strategy for others listening. Just if you are struggling, putting a picture, like an actual picture of your younger self somewhere in your home, somewhere on your phone, somewhere with you, to just remember, like, would your younger self be proud of you? And would you talk to this younger self the way that you're talking to yourself now?
yeah,
And
exactly.
I think that will definitely promote like self-kindness and giving yourself, not putting so much pressure on yourself, you know, and just, you know, looking at, I love that. Looking,
I know.
you look at yourself every day and it's like, wow, you reflect. It's like, you think I am proud to be myself because I am kind, I am honest, and I am caring and I am respectful. Literally, that's success right there.
It is.
Yeah. It's like, oh my god, it's so stupid, but it makes me emotional to think about.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I about to cry? But I remember, like, I went through a time where I was so mean to myself. Like, my skin has been a constant struggle for me my whole life. And, like, my first time I went through Accutane, not only does it dry your skin out like crazy, but it also takes a huge toll on your mental health. Like, it's known to cause, like, suicidal ideations and just it does a horrible, like, takes horrible effect on you. And it got to the point where, like, I would look at myself in the mirror and every day I would cry at how ugly I looked. And I couldn't even, like, open Snapchat, because if you think about it, Snapchat is the only app that when you open it, you're immediately greeted by a photo of yourself. Even on the camera app, it doesn't automatically open to selfie. Snapchat is the only app that opens to selfie immediately. And I swear, like, it's so crazy, but I would open Snapchat and I would go like this. And then I would click into messages just so I wouldn't have to see my face. And then it got to the point where I would tape. There was a period of time when my Accutane was, like, really rough for me. I went through it twice, where I actually taped paper and garbage bags over every mirror in my house so that I wouldn't have to look at my reflection. And it also, like, I would just end up, like, spending so long in the mirror obsessing over, like, picking up my face to try to make it better, and it was so horrible. But, like, I went through not even being able to look at my reflection because I was so unhappy with what I saw. And now I feel, although my skin is still not great and I still deal with that in different ways, I just try to remind myself, and I've come so far, like, remind myself that beauty is so much deeper than
Physical.
the surface and the physical. And, like, I know I'm a beautiful person
You're
because
gorgeous.
thank you, because of the way I treat people, and because of the way that I show people that they are loved, and the way that I bring people together. Like, those are the things that make me a beautiful person, not how my skin looks, not how my hair looks. And so that's where I feel like my self-love comes the strongest from me, is just, like, reminding myself those things.
Aw.
Mic drop.
I
Love
know.
that.
I know. I'm like,
Love
there's nowhere to go from there. That was
So
was
how does
beautiful.
self-love look for both of you guys? Like, in your daily life, how do you go about giving yourself love?
I know I've talked about this before, but I also literally, fresh out of breakup, just thought I was the lowest of the low. I had no self-confidence. I, thought I looked the worst. I felt the worst. And it was a constant battle with my mind. And literally, sounds cliche, but self-affirmations, I would write it all over sticky notes. And literally, my sister has even seen, like, we had a door and I put sticky notes all over the door, and literally I just kept it there and would say it over and over and over. And I have an app on my phone called, like, affirmations, and it just, every couple hours it sends me, like, self-affirmations, and I read it, I reflect on it, I say
What
it
app
out
is
loud.
that?
Yeah, I really like
I
that.
love that.
It is called...
That's a really...
I really.
There's a lot of, like, apps. My therapist recommended some apps for me, too, that, like, it's a little buddy that'll pop up on your phone and be like, how are you feeling today?
It's called
Mindful
Mindful
affirmations.
Affirmations.
Mindful
I don't know if they can see, but you basically could,
mindful.
I think show it to your
swipe
camera.
affirmations.
Oh, right there. Show it to... Yeah. Oh, no.
No, it just looks.
It's
white.
kind of catching on
Yeah.
my camera.
Oh,
But yeah,
there.
you could
Oh.
swipe, and it's like
Can you
every
read
day.
some?
Yeah. It says, I help people. This gives me great purpose and pleasure. I feel peace and harmony. I focus on the good. I am here to live my best life. My body and mind are healthy and vibrant.
I love that.
So literally
yeah.
just, little mindful affirmations that get pinged on my phone every day because,
That's
your
helpful.
thoughts are literally can be your worst enemy. It is crazy. Your thoughts
Yeah.
could be, the one who the thing that hurts you the most. So just focusing on the positive and saying positive, even if you don't believe it. If you say it over and over, eventually it will manifest and it will happen.
It's so true. And people, I think, underestimate the power of the mind so much. But your mind truly, like they say, remember to take breaks for yourself or your body will force you to. Like, I've gone through
Yep.
periods of time right now, I think,
I
where
know
I'm go, 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 and I don't give myself a break. And then
your
all of a
body
sudden I'm
takes it.
sick, and now I kind of have to take a break,
Now you
you know?
have to take a
And
break.
so I think that they're like, people underestimate the power of the mind so much, but it's so important to just feel yourself and feed in goodness and positivity. And it sounds so cliche and like witchy woo woo, but it's so true. If you are feeding in yourself positivity and affirmations and gratitude, everything in your life is going to be better.
Yep.
What about you, Lexi?
Oh
What
my
are ways in
gosh,
which
I
you
need to practice affirmations much more. But you know, I the only time I practice affirmations, this is not a good thing. But if I'm like in a disagreement with my partner, that's when I feel like I speak up for myself the best. Where I'm like, I'm a great person. I'm the best person. I do this, I do that, and that's when I feel like I talk about my worth the most. Because when it's kind of like brought to your into focus when you're like, oh, someone's like picking an argument with me. I'm actually like, I have so much to offer. And if this person's not going to offer it to me, I know that I have my worth and I'll be happy on my own. And like, that's the only time I speak kindly to myself, which is unfortunate. And I should be able to speak to myself in that way
Every day.
all the time.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I do have a planner. So I have a planner that every morning it says morning affirmation that I like write. So
Aw.
often I usually comment on the weather. Now that it's cooler, I'll be like, the coolness in the air like gives me peace of mind, and taking my dog for a walk in the morning makes me happy and like makes me think I'm gonna have a great day. And like I have to write that out, and then in the evening I have evening reflections that it says that I
Aw.
have to be like, okay, how did today go? And that's helpful. But I'm just really excited about this app that I'm definitely gonna get. But
Yeah.
so how I practice self-love is usually through actions, like usually taking myself on dates. Um, and I do this either when my partner's gone or if he's away. I'm like, I kid you not, I have a full day that is just my favorite activities, whether that's going to a bookstore and getting a new book, going to a coffee shop and getting my favorite coffee and getting a croissant. And oh my gosh, I think I might even splurge on lunch. And then I go thrifting. And then I have a full day of doing all the activities that make me so happy and fulfilled. And usually when I get home and I'm like, okay, what scary movie am I going to watch? And what, like, okay, I'm going to read and then I'm going to journal. I do everything. And when you realize like your time is precious, and how you choose to spend it and how you choose to like fill it with happiness is up to you. And that shouldn't change based on the people around you. But so often when we're with other people, we tend to there's compromise, there's balance, there's bending, and there's everything. But we really need to remind ourselves that at the end of the day, we have to check in with ourselves and be happy. And if we're not doing enough of what makes us happy, then your mind is going to remind you that, like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
you're not happy right now. Why is that? And you have to take a step back. So I having those self love days and moments, and catching up with friends. Sometimes like I'll make sure I FaceTime with friends that I haven't seen in a while, and like use my time to fully do everything that I don't often give myself permission to do, because I'm always trying to make sure that everyone else in my life, I'm like, okay, like,
Feels
are you
fulfilled.
happy? Are you getting what you need
Yeah.
done? And your mind is going to remind you that, like, hey, you need to check on you too. Like,
Yeah.
you need to
You gotta take
do
care
the
of
same
yourself
kind of care
first.
for yourself as you do for
Mhm.
others. So
Show
Yeah.
yourself the same love that you're showing
Yeah.
everyone else.
You know, I
That's-
love taking myself out on dates.
I know.
And I think that a time in which I feel the most like rejuvenated and feel like I'm charging my own self the most is when I'm just at home. And I think if I were completely selfish right now, like I'm not on anyone else's clock, what would I want to be spending my time with? And usually that's going through the racks for hours at Goodwill.
Yeah.
Like that's what I really love and what clears my mind and makes me really calm. Even if I don't buy a single thing, it feels like a treasure hunt to me. I just love it. And so I think it's important to be selfish with our time now, because whoever's listening to this, like everyone's situation is different, but one day we will more likely than not be mothers having to support our families, and we will be trying to get a second away for ourselves. Once you are in a family and you're part of something so much bigger than just yourself, you're not going to have the same time to be selfish as you are now. Of course, you can build time out for yourself in other ways, but I just really like reminding myself, like, if I want to take a lazy day in bed, I'm going to just take that now, because one day that might not be as easy. I might have to get up and build lunch for the kids and drive them to school, and getting a deep breath to myself is
Yeah.
going to be a little bit harder. So it's
Mhm.
important to be selfish while we can, but like while we're
Yeah.
not while a whole family's not dependent
Well,
on us, you know.
like even if you're asking yourself that question, or like if I was like completely on no one's time and being able to be just selfish, if you even have to ask yourself that, that means you do not take enough time for yourself anyways, and that you're not being selfish by
Yeah.
just taking a moment for yourself.
Yeah.
Because people who are always taking those moments for themselves are not checking in and saying like, if I was just by myself, if I was just having a selfish moment, I would do this.
Yeah.
They're just
They're
doing
already
it.
having the selfish
They're just
Yeah,
having the
yeah,
selfish
yeah.
moment. So
They
if
don't
you're
reflect on
yeah,
that.
if you're reflecting and be like, hey, if it was just solely based on what I wanted to do, then you're like, maybe you're not doing that enough. Maybe it's
Yeah.
okay that you say no to whoever is asking you, or all the pressure that you feel like is on you. Just do what you need to do in that moment to, again, like, hit the reset and show yourself that you need to be cared for first. That's I love
That's
going
so
through
true.
the good. Like, I love going thrifting, and just
Yeah.
even if you don't get anything, it's just, I think it's the creativity and the style
Uh-huh.
and the freedom to just take
Yeah.
your time and really just finding the activities that speak to you like that. Like,
Yeah.
it reminds me that, oh my god, I have great style, or like, I love me. Oh my gosh, like, my time is my time, and this is the moment that I want to be like spend, like, this is where I want to be right now.
Uh-huh. And in turn, you can contribute and give so much to others when you can't fill up someone's cup if your cup's not full, you
Yeah.
know?
Yep.
Like, you want to fill your cup before filling others, kind of like on the airplane where they say, like, put your mask on before you help others. Like, you're not able to help others unless you first help yourself.
Yep.
So it's
It's so
important
true.
to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, you're nurturing yourself, and you're treating yourself as you would a small baby, to check in and so that you're able to actually contribute more in friendships and in romantic relationships.
Well, it's also what you said, like, practice what you preach. Like, we're so good at giving our friends and family advice and showing them love and showing them everything they can't see about themselves. And you're like, how could you say that about yourself? But then we turn around and we say it to
Yeah.
ourselves. So, like, why should the friend choose to believe you and say, like, oh, well, you speak really terribly about yourself. Why would I believe that you're speaking all this wonderful things about me? And so,
Uh-huh.
like, it's hard to practice what you preach, but I think through affirmation and just being selfish in those moments that you take, d- that's important.
Yeah.
That's shaping you to actually reaffirm and believe what you're saying to other people. Like, oh, you should be confident. You're so beautiful. Wait, I'm beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
confident. Like, yeah, I feel amazing. Like, it just is infectious, and like, when you tell other people and you actually believe about yourself, you don't have to say it as often, right? Like, you don't have to remind yourself, like, I'm confident, I'm beautiful. It'll come naturally. And that is such a good feeling when you wake up and you're like, oh my God, my hair is hairing today. Or like,
Uh-huh.
oh my God, my skin is glowing today. Or like, wow, I just feel really happy. I feel strong. I feel healthy. I'm vivacious.
Yeah.
And like, those thoughts will slowly, like you've talked about that, where your
Yep.
thoughts are just
Literally.
naturally starting to form that way instead of training your mind to have that. Now, when you get that buzzer, you're like, yeah, like, thank you for the
I
reminder.
am
Like,
strong and
I
beautiful.
am
I
strong
am
and beautiful,
strong and
instead of like
beautiful.
repeating it as like, I'm gonna believe it one day.
The most
And you need to
amazing
start now.
the most amazing moment is waking up and literally having the thought, wow, I haven't had negative self-talk in a long time. Did that thought just really cross my head? That's the craziest like thing that can happen.
Realization, you're
Yeah,
like,
realization. And it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like self-affirmations and like talking positively about yourself and thinking positively about yourself really affects your thoughts and who you are.
It reminded me of a story though, because you recently told Cosette and I you went to an event and an old friend of yours came up to you and said how, like, you look radiant, you're glowing, and that, that was just like the change and happiness and positivity, probably from what you've told yourself and what you've worked towards. And when you told us that, and we're like, yeah, that change is
Yep.
noticeable.
Mhm.
Yep,
Like-
I haven't seen this friend in 2 years, and in 2 years, 2 years ago, I was in a really bad state, and now I'm in, one of the, most self-improved states that I've ever been in. And just as soon as like we saw each other, just having that compliment be shared with me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel this inside and you're seeing it outside. Like, thank you so
Yeah.
much. It meant so much.
It makes a huge difference. And I like the reason why people put so much emphasis on self-love is because it's something that you have to learn, and I think we're all so conditioned against it. Like, we're especially in the age of social media, we're constantly comparing ourselves to others. We are taught as little girls that we are not tall enough, not strong enough, like whatever,
This,
especially
that,
yeah,
everything,
especially growing up
everything.
in like the modeling industry. I was always like, too skinny, too fat, too short, too tall, didn't fit the right sizes. And something that I think I want to make an effort to when I'm a mother, and I think a lot of us were raised in a household where seeing our mothers talk negatively about themselves trains us that we should, like, my mom has always been very critical of herself. And I would be like a young girl, and my mom would be like, "Oh, I have a muffin top. I need to lose weight." And I think a lot of mothers are like that in the way that it trains us subconsciously
to think
that
that way.
it's okay to think about yourself that way. Like, and that's why our parents are humans. Like, I'm not saying that she did anything wrong. Like, we're all humans. But I think as mothers, as parents, you have such a vital role in shaping your young daughter, young son, young child's mind on what the example is that they should be talking about themselves, which
We're
is why.
like sponges. They're
Yeah,
like sponges.
exactly. And now a lot of parents are encouraging other parents on TikTok and on social media to have their children say self-affirmations as they're doing their hair in the morning every morning.
I love those
And
videos.
yeah, and avoiding talking about their weight in front of their children or anything that would make them think that that is okay to talk about. And yeah, just like I think that's in such a way we were formatted and like primed growing up to be critical of ourselves and compare ourselves to others. And it's something that you really have to work on unlearning in the same way that you trained your mind to talk positively about yourself. It's so unfortunate that that's not how most of us are brought up. Like, it's not in most of our nature to just be nice to ourselves. It's something that like we have to force ourselves to do. But once you get there, then it's so much better, and then you could just domino effect it, and hopefully raise your children in that way.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, it's that example specifically. My mom talked about that. She talked about how when she was growing up, her mom constantly made comments about her body, about her thighs, about like her shape and everything. And my mom was like, "I look like you. Like, what is that telling me about my shape, my body? Because I look just like you, mom, and you hate your body so much. How, like, what is that conditioning me to think about my body?"
Yeah.
And so my mom, because I told her, I was like, I never heard, you never once told me, wow, you look so skinny or you look so this. She's like, because she said that was so like detrimental to her and how it shaped her, that she's like, when I have a daughter, I'm never going to comment on a body. And growing up, I was like, wow, mom, like, I never, like, this never was a part of what I thought about until I got older and girls would say stuff and, like, and then you're like, oh, maybe my boobs aren't big enough, or maybe my arms are like, then you start going through all of it. But growing up, my mom never made a comment about that. And I actually thanked her, because now thinking about when you're in an age where you could have a family and you're thinking about when you have kids one day, what is that going to look like? It's hard.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And if you don't practice self-love towards yourself, how do you expect to do it around your kids?
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know how much they pick up on.
Yep.
And they pick up on so much.
Yep.
And I mean, no matter how much you try as a parent, you're a human, and this is your first time through life. Like, if that's your spiritual feeling, but like, and having that grace and just taking it day by day and speaking kindly to yourself, that's a great start. So your kid is around that as well. Even if you don't have kids, speak kindly to yourself.
Yes, kids
Speak
or no
to
kids.
to you as
the inner
kid.
child.
Yeah,
speak to your inner child.
Speak to your inner child.
Yeah.
But I feel like we are giving the viewers a lot of little pieces of advice to part with. The self-affirmations, the taking yourselves on dates, to the speaking to your inner child and your past child. And this was a good reminder for me, at least, to
That was
like
a great reminder
move
to me.
forward and remind myself to treat myself with kindness and to continue to practice what I preach. So I think it would be really fun if we could challenge the viewers to all do one act of kindness towards themselves today. And they say if you're 1% better each day, at the end of 100 days you're 100% better.
Love that.
And so just by doing one small little act of kindness towards yourself every day, you're just going to be watering that plant of your inner self to be a beautiful flower one day,
Love
Aw.
that.
you know?
Love that.
I already feel better about myself.
Me too.
Me
After
too.
every time we have a conversation, I'm like, I already feel better.
I feel like a better person.
I feel like a better person.
Yeah.
This
I
was
know.
nice.
Let's all take a deep breath.
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Breathe out. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the podcast.
So you're going to like ASMR or something.
Signing off. It's your girl Cosette.
Lexi.
And Rachel.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.